Hey guys, this is Ashley and Rest, and we're back for another episode of She Wolf Alchemy. This week we are talking about forgiveness, what it is, what it isn't, and the gray areas in between.
Love it. Yeah, so anybody that has been following our show since we started would know, like, yeah, this is not Russ's area. This is not Russ's area at all. Russ not even sure what she's gonna say on this topic. Yeah, forgiveness is still kind of a gray area for me. I guess forgiveness in the way that a lot of people look at it. I am not big on holding on to things. I definitely believe in letting go of things and kind of just not letting things bother me. Uh, but also because I'm not allowing the situation, whatever it was, to be a main focus. But I do know I do struggle when like that situation is brought back up to me. Like if I have to remember, I have to focus on that type of thing. Uh, and so, yeah, I guess that's why I say like, yeah, it's a gray area for me because I'm not walking around holding on to stuff. Like, I hate them, angry, blah blah blah. Like, nope, I've decided in my head that the situation is whatever I decided it was. Let it go and I'm walking. But I do know I am definitely like the other day, I was watching a TV show and I won't go into a specific show because people who know me gonna know exactly what situation I'm talking about. But I was watching a TV show and a situation happened that was like similar to the situation that I was in that really, really hurt me. And I was like, damn, blah, 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 just in my head, just like I got mad as if I was like in that moment again.
Mm.
Like legit was like curse them and vengeance. Um, and not real vengeance, but in that moment I was very angry. And then like I kind of like chilled and I was just like, that was interesting. I was over that. I was like, yeah, I guess I just didn't think about that. And then I just kind of went on with my day though. Like, and after that, like I was not thinking about the situation. I was not thinking about anybody involved. Wasn't angry about it no more. But yeah, when that thing came up unexpectedly, so yeah, I think it's kind of like a gray area for me. I'm really good at like, you know how people say forgive and forget, and they're like, and I forgive, but I can't forget. Like, no, my ass be forgetting. I be struggling with the forgive, but I be forgetting. I be forgetting about that thing exists until whenever.
And see, I went like I okay, so I went and looked up the definition, and the first thing that popped up was saying like allowing the negative emotions to pass so you can basically move forward.
Mhm.
To summarize it. And I was like, "Oh, I could do that."
Mm.
Like, that part seems easy, but I feel like there's this other part that we've not like, if that's just what the word means, we put so much more on forgiveness than
Oh, yeah.
because when I thought that, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can do that," but then if I'm allowed to move on. Like, in what
Mhm.
you're talking about, because that was my question, I, like, kinda brought it back up to myself of, like, but if something is brought back up, because I was
Mhm.
thinking about, like, people that I work with who are, like who have experienced things that, yeah, are unforgivable.
Mhm.
Like, there's a what would be the goal in forgiving this person? They're
Mhm.
not saddled with the negative emotions with
Mhm.
it per se, but there's no reason we should be but when we
Yeah.
think of forgiveness, it's like, "Oh, just make it okay and make
We
amends." Is
think
it
of the moral or religious context of forgiveness, I think, is what most of us are used to.
Mhm.
Because you know my belief on this. Me and you have had many discussions on this. Like, I am anti telling people who have been victims of brutality that they need to forgive their
Yeah.
abusers. You
Right.
gotta forgive them. And this person going on just creating more victims, not
Right.
caring about their forgiveness, not blah, blah, but y'all make them go through this whole exercise. Like, you gotta forgive. You gotta say bless them. Like, no, I am so, oh my gosh, I'm like getting triggered talking about it. I am so against that. And I think it could be so harmful.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I think and that's kinda why I always am like, when
Yeah.
it's brought up, I'm like, "I'm not great." Like, yeah, move on part, like, yes, let's do that, let's
Right. Because
drop it, let's blah, blah, blah. Like, that point of and I
we
think that's, again, more of that religious context of, and then
we
if you
think of it as
forgive them. Mhm.
absolution, like you're absolved.
Yeah.
But that's not, I don't think that's real forgiveness because you can never actually be just completely absolved and no one owes you that either. Like you still did what you did. The consequences of your actions should still exist. But we've definitely made like forgiveness into this strange thing. And I agree with you in that, yeah, there are situations like that, like forms of brutality and violence towards someone where they don't have any reason to forgive that. And they can move on. Like they can
Mhm,
get
yeah.
to a place. But then yeah, if I see this person or if I'm reminded of this situation, it is natural that I'm gonna feel some type of way about it. So if
Mhm.
forgiveness is meaning that I never have that reaction, then I think that's strange. I don't think
Trash.
that's possible.
I think that's
Hmm?
trash. I personally think that's trash. I think that's so trash. Yeah, I think we need to focus more on the can you move on for it? Like you don't, and I think that keeps so many people stuck too because I've worked with a lot of individuals who had that mindset of like, no, because if I really forgive them, it wouldn't bother me no more. If I really forgive them, I would be able to see them and not be triggered and not, and by the way, that's not how triggers work. If I really and it can keep some people really, really stuck. And I just but can you move on from it? Is it
Mhm.
stopping your growth? Are you letting it dominate your life?
Yeah.
Let's get you to the point that it's not doing that. You don't have to bless them and wish them best on their merry way.
Cause somebody hugged somebody in a courtroom one more time. I
And look, I'm not against it if that's what you have in your heart to do. I'm just against like preaching that that's the only way to do it.
agree. I understand. Yeah. But I appreciate when people are, it makes me think of Pastor Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. I can't stand you. Okay. Okay.
Ain't no black power when your baby is killed by a coward. That
Mhm,
whole song is about how y'all coming to me for good advice, but you come with and mess with my family and mess with mine. I'm
mhm.
not gonna have all this sanctity, all this other type of stuff is gonna be for the streets. Like,
Look.
and I think that's real. But anywho, but yeah, I think forgiveness isn't necessarily like accepting, um, like it doesn't make whatever happened just suddenly okay. It doesn't remove the wrongdoing or any of the consequences.
Mhm. I can agree with that. But can we go into the consequences? Because there's a natural order law of consequences, whether we're talking about man law or universal law. Consequences is not when you go out and seek your own vengeance and by this is the consequences, because that's not forgiving. That's not letting go. That's not consequences. That's vengeance.
That's real.
And those are two different, very, very different things. And I want to make sure we make that very clear.
Yeah. But if the consequence of like, right, like let's say you have wronged me.
Mhm,
And the consequence of that is that I no longer trust you, and that means that we can't continue
mhm.
our relationship. I can
Yeah.
still be like, "Yep, I'm not gonna carry those feelings. I forgive," but the consequence still is what it is. The trust is still broken. We are
Mhm.
still.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the consequence of that can be like, and I don't fuck with you.
Mhm.
Not only like, no, I don't fuck with you. I don't plan to ever. You blocked on everything. Don't stay blocked on everything. But it's not like I don't fuck with you. It's over. Imma burn down your mailbox.
Yes. I'm put you on blast to your mama, talk bad about you on social media.
Mhm. Do drive-bys by your house, like, that's not consequences. Removing yourself from a situation, that's fine. That is a consequence. Calling the police, if that needs to happen, that's fine. That's consequences. But, yeah, some of this stuff is just pure old vengeance, and, that is unattractive.
Mhm. I think what also makes it hard for people to even forgive though is that feeling of like, oh, like it's like I'm letting you off the hook.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, that's a huge one. I feel like I talked to someone recently about something they could not let go of, and that was their thing. They were like, because I feel like all I have is my anger.
Mm. Mhm.
That was their response. I feel like all I have is my anger, and if I take away my anger, they're getting off the hook because the other orders that should
Mhm.
have done something did not do something. So all I got against them is the anger.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing is, they didn't give a freak about the anger. It did not
Yeah.
affect them.
Yeah.
So now you're just holding on to that anger. They
Mhm.
going on living a merry life. Your
Mhm.
anger is not doing anything to them. It's not changing the concept. It's not changing the order how things happen. It's not creating a it doesn't matter. Now you're holding on to this thing.
And just making yourself miserable. That's like that other saying, what they say, it's like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die.
Mhm. Mm, yeah.
So, yeah, you gotta let that stuff go, unfortunately, and move on because you're not holding even for people who are in your life. I think even in minor situations of this, like, I have to hold this over you in order to what? Make sure that you fully understand what you did and that you upset me.
Mhm. Yeah, and sometimes that's all like an ego trip. How
Mhm.
dare you disturb me and upset me? Like, yo, bro, we all take L's. Like we all get
Yeah,
disappointed. We all get hurt. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't whatever. But
but folks want penitence.
hmm
You need to suffer and let me know that I know that we all know that I'm mad at you. That I hate you, and that you need to make up for it.
something that and this may not be getting over it. Now that I'm thinking about it and about to say it out loud, but like help me kind of get over that kind of like mindset is like I truly believe that Well, whoever you wanna call it, the universe, ancestors, like, they got my back, and I just like, "I mean, you're not getting off the hook." And, like, I just have that mindset, and maybe that's just vengeance of another way of me thinking like, "Ah, yeah, I'm going to be avenged." That's why I'm more okay with it. But I definitely had that switch somewhere around, like, age, like, 25,
Mhm.
where I was just like, "You know what? People do things to me. Things happen to them, and I'm okay with that. So I don't need to be mad."
I think we're more of like we all get our lessons at some point, and you're right, like I too am one of the favorites, and it's like you like doing me wrong will never will never get you to the pearly gates. Like you will not. I don't know, but like I'm not saying like something will rain down upon you, but you're not gonna you can't get too far treating people that way. And I'm such a what I know about me.
Look,
Yeah, I'm like, I'm such a great person, like, doing me wrong? Like, that's got to be bad for your future. That's not good at all. So
no, you know what though? I had one situation that happened around that time that it was just such fast karma. I'm gonna lie, y'all, I laughed. I laughed as hell. I laughed like a good 5 minutes when I found out about it. But it happened so quickly that I was just like, see, this is why you don't hurt Russ's feelings. So whoever saw me crying was like, you know what? Not my baby. Not my baby. She ain't did nothing to deserve that. And hellfire rained upon them. But anyways, I didn't do anything to cause it. That is what I want to say. Karma came in quick. And I know sometimes we have this idea of like karma isn't real because you do have lots of people that do really big scale bad things and they
mhm,
seem to just keep going on doing big scale bad things for very long times. Politics comes to mind. But I do think that sometimes it works us out in ways that one we don't see, ways that may not come in the timing that we want,
mhm,
but it comes. And I think that sometimes we want things to be tit for tat, and I don't think that's necessarily how karma works. It's not, oh, you stepped on my toe and laugh, someone's gonna step on your toe and laugh. Like, no, it can be, okay, and now you run out of gas on 75 in 5-lane traffic. You in the middle lane. You forgot your card for AAA and you in Atlanta, so they shooting. Like, that could be it. It's just
it could also be that there's just less peace. No peace.
your face messed me up. I saw your face. He was just like, where are we going? Where are we going? Ended.
Yeah, it kept going. Um, it could also be just, yeah, no peace. Even people who do big corrupt things and
Mhm,
couldn't sleep well at night, like, what we really truly know about people is if you live your life a certain way, there's probably not a lot of peace behind closed doors and in your heart and your mind when you're alone.
mhm.
That's something.
So I think some things are generational, some things they pass on,
Mhm.
and, uh, yeah, yeah.
Right. Ooh, what's the scale of that? You get to the afterlife and they're like, "You've cursed your future generations with your bullshit." What?
You have to reincarnate back into that line of bullshit that you started.
Right.
Yeah. No, I don't know how it works on that side, but
I just
I
I don't
will say, definitely, there is some, like, family generational curses shit, like, somebody did something somewhere in some of these families. Because sometimes you sit there man, if y'all ever had to do a genogram, if y'all ever had to do a genogram, you will sit there and be like, genograms are basically like a family map of trauma, and sometimes you'll sit there and you'll go through somebody's, like, family history with them, and you'll do a genogram, and you're just like so
yeah.
clinically speaking, I can't use the word generational curse, but there's something that's went down 4 generations. Something's happening here.
Mhm.
Anywho, but no, I definitely feel like, that kinda helps me to let go of things. I don't know, that's not because yeah, that's not one of those, "You're such a good person" things. It's a
Right.
karma.
So, somebody else gonna get you.
Somebody else gonna get you. See?
See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things is that we gotta stress is that, like, forgiveness does not make you weak. I think that there's this idea going back to that, like, all I have is my anger. I have to hold on to it. This idea of, like, letting go of the anger means you are letting them off the hook, or it means that you're weak, you're pacifying the issue, you're docile and you have to seek vengeance. I gotta get that man back. I gotta get that woman back. I can't just let this go type of situation. That does not equate weakness at all. And I think sometimes we confuse the two.
Yeah. It gets so hyped up too though from even outside pressures and things like that, but there are a lot of people who end up in a lot of pain, suffering and or dead because they just couldn't let something go
Mhm.
because they didn't want to appear weak and couldn't just move on. And that's in very extreme situations. Yeah, people have people have died. But you're right. I think also people get it from I think of like cultural stuff of like I wouldn't let that slide if that was me.
Mhm.
Da, 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 and you get like that type of
People
pressure.
worried about the optics.
Right. And so people get so hyped up in that. And when I was thinking about that too, I was thinking of like even on TV shows and stuff, like there's always some character who is like they they don't even to ask for forgiveness, right? Like, oh, I don't say I'm sorry. I never apologize for things. I it's so hard for me. Like there's always some character like that on the show who's like, they just can't say it and it's so funny and ha 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 and they're like
Mhm.
strong, or there's people who never forgive, but it just is too much. Like it's just become so much painted around this.
Mhm.
And in actuality, yeah, you just got a bunch of people holding on to stuff that they don't need to be holding on to. So forgiveness does not make you weak.
Mhm.
Letting it go and going on about your day is more a sign, I would say, of strength and maturity. But also, in saying that it's a sign of strength, it's also okay to be like, you know what? Not right now. Right now, I'm not in a place where I can forgive you. Right now, I'm too hurt. Right now, the wound is too fresh. Right now, I got other ways I'm trying to heal.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, it's definitely okay if it's not the right time because the reality of it is nobody even owes you forgiveness.
Where where that is something I feel like I've been working with a lot of people on as of late, of it's okay if you're not in that place. I think sometimes, especially if you are of a culture or family or just the people you hang around pressure you to forgive, hurry up and heal. You feel the need to kind of make this transition of like, okay, I'm over it, I'm over it, I'm over it. And it just hinders the process more. You go
Mhm.
around here faking this whole feeling you don't really feel. Allow the process. Allow the process. Allow if it hurts, allow it to hurt. If you need to cry, allow yourself to cry. If you need to pout for a couple days, pout for a couple of days. Some things take longer than a couple days to heal, and that's fine too. But I think healing needs to be authentic. And when healing is authentic, it comes when it comes. And sometimes and I want to explain that too, because when I say it comes, I don't mean like one day you just wake up and you magically forgive. Maybe for some of us, that's how it happens. But for some, we're like, okay, now I'm tired of being mad. What's the next step?
Mhm.
Okay, well, now that you're tired of being mad, next step is this. Or I'm tired of crying. Maybe you're not tired of being mad, but like, I'm tired of crying. I'm tired of this heavy weight. Then the next step is forgiveness. It might not just always just pop in your head as, I'm completely over this, but allow yourself to be in the space that you're in and not force yourself out of it.
Definitely. Nothing to add to that. Yes. Yes. And then when you get to that place, know that you're allowed to let stuff go. It's
Mhm.
I think another reason that people may have a hard time forgiving others is if they've never really received forgiveness.
Mhm.
And I know we circle back to childhood a lot. But really, I think that there are things like, especially surrounding this topic that happened then, where one, you may not one, the way that we teach kids about just like apologies and forgiveness is
Yeah.
so surface level blanket. Say you're sorry. Okay.
Mhm.
Now you tell him you forgive him. I forgive you. Like,
Mhm.
why are we forcing this upon people, upon
Mhm.
children?
Can I just say though, as someone who is like very much, if you don't want to say that, you don't have to. I think we force it because it hurts our feelings. Because my daughter definitely will not tell me, like she'll do something. And I'll be like, I didn't hear a sorry. I didn't hear whatever. And she'll just be like, that's how Kari felt. And she'll just walk away and I'll be like, oh, a little hurt feelings, like, okay, okay. Am I going too far left?
There is a I know, because I definitely yeah, and hearing you say that, there is a line of like, because I've heard other arguments on that of, it's like you wanna teach them, you know,
Mhm.
you want them to learn the proper way, and that sometimes this is a part of the social interactions that we have
Mhm.
and social norms that we do to all get along.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I
No,
think
no, she does great with other kids. It's just me. It's me. Just the adults in her life.
she's just like, "Y'all should get over your feelings."
She's like, "Y'all are
What
emotionally safe people, so Imma say what I want."
what you
It's
cry?
emotionally safe for her, not us, but that's fine. It's fine. We're the adults here.
But even in this, so we teach the surface level, "I'm sorry, I forgive you." But then also, do kids really get forgiven when they do wrong? Or do they just get, like, punishment? And then, like
I'm trying to think. I think with certain parents, yeah, but I'm trying to think to myself, do I feel like I actually was ever really forgiven? With my mom, yes.
Mhm,
My mom, yes. With my dad's, no.
mhm.
No.
Yeah.
It was like a just we had a routine of like, "Yeah, oh, mad, brr, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah." Yeah, but, like, it was like nothing. It was a routine, like, "Okay, I did the bad thing, you did the yelling thing, I said sorry, you kinda grumble, you know, watch your TV," whatever. That was the thing. But I definitely feel like with my mom, I had a lot of, like, and I didn't mean to yell. I'm sorry too. Because, and you kinda have that kinda dialogue of, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Forgiveness or even I guess I would say even grace. Like, some people were raised in environments where there wasn't really room to
Mhm.
make much of a mistake, and when they made things that were simple mistakes that could have been forgivable, they instead were given punishment and consequences and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think, that is a thing for a lot of people of just like matter of fact, sometimes I think about it about people who get really mad at other people's like sexuality or what other people do in their bedroom. Just like things like that that have like nothing to do with them. Does not affect them at all. And they're so angry. I'm like, I just feel like this is because you're mad that there's people that are living exactly the way they want to. and you don't get to. You have rules you have to follow. And it's like, you have to follow my rules because I have to follow my rules. I insist all you guys follow my rules. So how dare you not have to follow rules if I have to? I mean, and it's that same concept of when you talk to people who are like, I don't want you guys to have student loan forgiveness. I had to pay off my student loans.
Mm,
So why don't you? I worked hard. I figured it out. This concept of like, I wasn't given grace. I wasn't given whatever. And so I don't want you to have it either because that's fair
mhm.
because
And
they
they'll
don't care
hold
about just.
yeah, and then they'll hold that line and then be like, "Well, the world is harsh." I just love when people choose to, like, be the harshness in the world, and then they're like, "Well, it's harsh." Oh, it didn't have to be. We don't all have to be so damn harsh towards each other.
Mm-hmm. I don't
Sorry, you're
understand why you're holding up this line.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's always kind of weird to me too. Like, and don't get me wrong, I am a true Gemini. I love playing devil's advocate, but in like serious matters of like, okay, like no, we're trying to like problem solve to be like, well, no, people are mean, so let's also be mean to teach them that people are mean. And it's like, or we could teach them niceness, and we can be nice, and then maybe we'll be the ruling majority. Like, I don't understand this whole. This
Yeah,
is how the world is, so this is how I have to be too.
agreed. They say be the change you wanna be.
Right. Right.
While you're testing that theory, they're just choosing to be crap people.
Mhm. And there's all this fear about, this fear of being perceived as soft. Um,
Mhm.
and I was thinking about it the other day because I was having a conversation and we were talking about like the soft girl era. Like you keep saying all over social media, I'm in my soft girl era, blah, blah, blah. And like why this needed to be a thing. And of course, we got into all the different aspects of like, well, it wasn't safe to be soft and you had to be defensive, blah, blah, blah. But we both got into this conversation of like, do you know also I used to brag about like not being soft and like would be offended if someone had called me soft
Mhm.
because I cared that much about the optics of that. And I also cared so much about, this idea like you not go get over on me. And I want to make sure that's the warning I'm giving out. And like we had this moment of like how immature that mindset was, but how prevalent it was that almost all the people we knew, like, no, all of us went through that phase.
Yeah. And it's yeah. I'm thinking of that, like, idea of, like, "You're not gonna get one over on me. I've gotta have my armor out this far,
Mhm.
this thick, this wide," versus, like, I just don't have to be in places that make me feel that defensive. I don't
Yeah.
have to be around
I don't
if
have to interact with people that make me feel like I have to be that defensive.
and that's it. Like, truly, it could be that simple. And as a side note, a lot of people do need to kinda take inventory of the people that they allow around them. Some
Mhm.
people around them have just been there for a really long time, and they may not or maybe they're new, I don't know, but some people may be reverberating back to you negative junk that you don't need in your life. So just
Mhm.
survey how you feel around certain folks
And you get to stop interacting with them.
and probably stop interacting with them.
You can literally that's also a part of it. You can stop feeding into it. It always like, I don't know. It always like tickles me when people have these like frenemy friendships. And I'm just like, I don't get the concept. You feel like an enemy at any point in our friendship. I'm ending the friendship. Like I do not
Right.
understand it. And I didn't think it used to be, I didn't think it was a common thing. And
It's
then I start talking to folks and I'm like, this is a thing.
yes, the more that I explore other people's friendships, I am very surprised because you're right. Me and my friends always been love and rah-rah, and I don't, like, argue with my friend. We have disagreements, but they don't get more than a, "Okay, alright." They don't go,
Look, when I found out grown people regularly arguing with their friends, I was like, y'all, what? Y'all got options. Y'all can just like stop being friends with them. Y'all got cars. Y'all can just go to new places, meet new people.
Right.
It's, and I'm not saying never, because there will probably be situations where you might have to have an argument or whatever. But I don't think I've ever had an adult friendship. And when I
Mhm.
say adult, I mean over the age of 21 where we had a arguing was a regular part of. our relationship.
Right.
Even my most toxic friend that I struggle to let go of, love the hell out of her still to this day. Me and her didn't even argue like that. Me and her got in maybe like 2 arguments,
Mhm.
years apart. And I'm just like, I don't but people are doing this on a regular basis, and I just don't
Right.
understand it.
Right, and that type of energy is reverberating back to you. Hanging around with people who don't like you, who treat you like they don't like you,
Mhm,
um, can make you feel unlikable. It can impact how you view yourself. That's why
yeah,
I'm like, check your circle, check what things are being reflected back to you from the people around you and the things that they're saying. Is that, "Oh, that's my girl, she just keep it real," but is she, like, overly critical of you for absolutely no good reason?
mhm.
Is it meant to be helpful, or is it just meant to, like, tear you down?
Check your circle, check your circle, check your circle. We talk about forgiveness though.
Right, that's
Oh my god on
true.
that.
And all of this
Mm,
forgiveness, though, I think it is easier to forgive others too when you forgive yourself for things. Kinda
yeah,
like you were talking about earlier, when you hold too tight to your rules and stuff, that's when you be trying to make other folks miserable. I think
mhm,
when you're holding too tight of like, if I feel guilty because I'm not as productive as I think I should
mhm,
be, I think that it's lazy that or I'm trying to avoid being lazy. And by doing so, I do A, B, C, D, and I don't see you doing those things.
mhm,
Then that gives me room to be like, well,
mhm.
judge you. When really I'm tired, exhausted, busted, and disgusted, thinking you supposed to be running around like how I'm running around. Versus if
Love it.
I had some grace for myself and just said, you know what, I be tired and I don't want to run around.
This
Then
is
I
a
can then I can have more grace for somebody else.
Yeah. This is reminding that reminds me of this is a little off topic, but it reminds me of people who are like, my mama was a single mama and she didn't put her baby daddy on child support. And she wasn't out here, da da da. And she didn't drop us off at grandma. She blah 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 blah. So you should also like, boy, your mama took her in the back room when you was in the bathroom and said, baby, run. I don't even know the last time that boy washed himself. Run. Your mama was tired and run down. Why would you want to put that on somebody else?
Mhm.
But yes, going back to the
Yeah, we
forgiveness.
create we
Mhm,
create these strange rules and circumstances for ourselves, or somebody else gave them to us, and we just ran with it, and then we want to hold everybody else accountable to it. But I think, yeah, not being able to forgive yourself for things or create space to have some grace for yourself causes you to be more harsh on other people as well.
yeah, like,
We all gotta be miserable doing stuff we don't want to do.
this is life.
How dare you be special and try.
Mhm. Like, once I learned to be nicer to myself, replace my inner critic, and replace the ideas I let ruminate in my mind, and became softer and more compassionate with me, I definitely became softer and more compassionate with others.
Yeah, that's
Mm,
real. It does allow for a lot more. Like I just love using the term grace. So that's how I try to think of things. Like anytime I do things with ease and empathy, it feels like grace. It's just like, okay.
mhm,
Just be like, yeah. Leave room for sometimes things don't go the right way. Sometimes people don't mean it. Most aren't mean malicious. Like there's so many,
mhm.
because again, I know there's so many times when I've needed. Are there? I mean, I was gonna say where I've needed forgiveness, but I'm pretty. No, I'm just playing. No, there's
Mhm.
definitely plenty of times I've made mistakes and have needed grace and forgiveness, and and when I've received it or when I've given it to myself, and that's another note I think too that sometimes you might be the only person who can forgive you. That's
Mhm.
why I think being able to forgive yourself is so important because, like I've said a few times tonight, apparently,
Mhm.
um, nobody else owes you that. So you may be in situations where only you can forgive yourself because you have to move on.
Yeah,
Maybe that other person is not ready to forgive you. Maybe what you did is not time for that, but you still have to move on and find some peace.
yeah.
And so there may be times of that, or maybe somebody's just petty and just don't. Who knows? It doesn't matter. That's their journey.
Mhm,
But in order for you to move on, you gotta do that, and also, so you can be pleasant to be around. I know, Russ and I talk about all the time how much we revel our alone time, but these are some of the things that make alone time better when you don't hate yourself, when you're not
yeah.
spending your time, like, beating yourself up, you can when you forgive yourself, You make
I,
yourself pleasant to be around.
I'm cracking up because I definitely had a conversation with an individual like last year where they're like, "Where you been? I swear I don't see you. Every now and then you post on Instagram on your stories. That's it. And then nobody hear from you." And I was like, "I've been spending a lot of time by myself. I'm not hiding from nobody." I was like, "I just been like purposely isolating." And I was like, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible." And I said, "I spent a lot of time on myself." They're like, "Oh, geez, that sounds horrible." And I cracked up because I was like, "Why? Why does that sound horrible?" And I was just like, that would not go well." And we kinda joked about it or whatever. But when you said that, that's what it reminded me of like, yeah, I guess it really would be horrible if
I
time
guess.
by yourself is just you ruminating over all the bad things you did, how horrible you are, how you not enough, how you this and this and that. Not to say that I never get a bad thought and I never get a self-defeating thought that I have to fight. Or sometimes I just let it happen. Just like, "Ah, okay, this is what we're feeling right now." But for the most part, like I, I'm the funniest person I know. I be cracking myself up. Like I'm entertaining as hell. Me and myself be having whole dialogues, and they good, all about ourselves, just
I mean,
enjoying life.
my dogs don't even know they living with a comedian. Some things happen around here, the concerts, I mean, everything. It's
Look,
gold.
a whole entertainer, a whole entertainer.
But no, for real. I mean, you be like, but yeah, if your mind is not a happy place, then it is hard for you to enjoy that time. You know, if you're jumping in and saying self-disparaging remarks, I use the example of like, even when people take compliments or like you look at yourself in your mirror and you're like, oh, I look cute. And then that voice that creeps in and is like, but you're this is like that and you're that. If you had a friend who popped in and said stuff like that to you all the day, you would hate them. You would not want to hang out with them.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know. We talked about some people don't mind having frenemies. You should not have friends in your life talking to you like that. If somebody comes up to you and it's like, "Oh my god, you're so pretty." Your friend shouldn't be jumping in and be like, "No, she's not." So then don't do that to yourself. Please be your own greatest best friend.
Yeah.
Hype yourself up, forgive yourself. That was another thing. So, in the book I'm reading that I keep kind of mentioning and raving about, that was one of the things he makes a point of like when he's talking about forgiving yourself, he like makes the point of like, for example, he said there's a 4 minute long video on YouTube of Beyonce falling, like of all the times and no one loves her less. Like basically,
Mhm.
like for the mistakes that she's made, no one admires her less. For most of us and our friends and the people in our lives whom we love, when they make minor mistakes or when they don't show up perfect, because they're not, because people are not perfect, we still love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can still love yourself even though you're not perfect. You can still love yourself even though you make mistakes.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes you sleep longer than you'd like to and feel less productive, you can still be happy and love yourself because you wouldn't take that away from anybody else.
And you can still love yourself after making a major fuck up.
Mhm.
Narcissists do it all the time. You
So why shouldn't you?
so why shouldn't you? You know, there was a while, there was like a meme go around where it was just like, there is too many like idiotic people with confidence and not enough people who know what they're doing with confidence. How can we switch the two? Some variation of that. And that's kind of how I feel about self love. There's so many great people out here that's just so freaking harsh on themselves and hating themselves and nitpicking with themselves and being their own inner critic. And while that's happening, there's just these assholes walking around like, I'm amazing. I don't know what's wrong with y'all, but I think I'm great. I don't know. I feel like all the issues and stuff I cause is everybody else's fault. I am the true victim here.
You're
Um,
actively
I'm
harming.
cool. Yeah, just actively okay with their bullshit.
That's a
Meanwhile, the person trying to save the world,
is over here like, "I'm not enough."
not enough.
How
I
do
only
but then
saved 3
again,
babies today I was meant to save 4.
but that brings the question though, because of the example you used of like, how do you know that you're not that person who's just like, "I'm perfect. I'm above reproach." Well, I guess if you're thinking that you're above reproach.
Yeah.
then you're probably that person.
You're probably that person. I think, yeah, like you said, if you feel like you're above reproach, I feel like also if you don't really have to go through the forgiveness phase, like you kind of just always kind of like, ah, it is what it is. Like you don't check in with yourself. You don't necessarily see faults in yourself. You kind of bypass the approval phase. You're just kind of like, I'm good. Sounds like that's a personal problem for you. And you're trying to just walk through life. I feel like I've met a couple of those, and that seems to be their process. It's not even, they'll use it like, yeah, no, I forgive myself. But like, really, if you talk to me like, no, you didn't really feel the need to forgive yourself or anything. You didn't see the problem. You're just like, I'm over this. I don't know about y'all.
Yes. Mm. Even well, when you were saying that, it was making me think of like seeking forgiveness because I was thinking about people. I think at least social media claims, women have a hard time it being so-called wrong.
Mhm.
And I even said that with quotes.
You did. You definitely put up air quotes, like, apparently, we can be quote unquote wrong, but allegedly.
I guess I know that I can be wrong. I know that I can be wrong, but people claim that women in general have a hard time accepting that like they're wrong and apologizing for things or seeking forgiveness when we're wrong. And that's there's probably a layer of truth to that.
Okay.
I guess I should add seeking forgiveness does not necessarily make you weak either.
Or
So yes, no one should be above reproach. Everybody wrong at some point.
mhm.
And it's okay to admit that and to see.
Okay. Is that where you were originally going with that statement?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
like just like ladies, we be wrong sometimes too. It's okay to admit that. I know that the men make it very hard to no, I'm just like
Look, I know I have definitely been wrong. Definitely been wrong. That is not anything I struggle with at all. I can pinpoint. I can put some wrongs in alphabetical order for you right now. And I do believe that when you are in the wrong, to seek forgiveness. I know it's not a steadfast rule, but it would be nice. It would be nice. There might be some situations where you might not be able to do it immediately. There might be situations where you're right, maybe the person doesn't want to talk to you. The person does not feel like hearing it. But I do think it is nice, even if I think back to like now, now. I was gonna say even I think back to like apologies I didn't get about things that really hurt me. I would appreciate them now, but no, I wouldn't.
mhm. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, we say seek forgiveness, but honestly, there is a level where it's like it's for you. At the end
Mhm.
of the day, for to give or to be forgiven, it's for the individual, I think. I know there's like a shared experience with it at times, but like it's like when people are going like, "If you could just forgive me, why do you need me? I don't have to
Yeah.
just please move on." So there's that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and people will pester someone for this, and it's like, okay, this is for you. This is so
Yeah.
you can just be absolved of whatever, whatever. And that's what goes back to that forgiving yourself. Like you
Mhm.
need to work through that on your own because that person may not have it to give to you, and that's okay.
But let me ask you, for you,
Mhm.
is it a thing, like, if somebody has done you wrong, do you will still want that for you still want that "I'm sorry"?
No, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
You
It
know what I'm
does
saying? That's
nothing
why
for me. It does not
for
move
you, like,
me.
it's for the individual, and somebody who's
Mhm.
like, "I just wanna tell you I'm sorry," like, yeah, that's definitely usually more for them than for me. I can't think of I mean, there may be instances in my life where, like but those are not from people who my mama could tell me that she's sorry, and that's fine. Like but, most other people, I'm not really sure, like, what I'm supposed to do with this apology. I
Mhm.
can't eat it. It don't pay no bills, like, that's kinda how I feel about apologies. That's not to say that again, like, I'm not one to make people suffer for my anger or, like, try to hold grudges and do things of that nature, but, like yeah. I guess it's more like if we're gonna continue that's what it is. It's more of the
Yes.
if it's a continued relationship. If
Yes.
and that's
I
why I
agree
said
with
my
that.
mama, because my mama always gonna be in my life. So like, yeah, we can have in genuine
Yeah.
relationships that are gonna continue. let's do this thing. Yeah, I can forgive you, and I would love your apology if it would mend something, and if it mends something in our relationship, yeah.
And I think it's like you said earlier, it's based on the individual. Because I know people in my life who, like, no, that's the thing for them. They still want an apology from somebody from 10 years ago. They're like, "No, I want that apology." And for them, they feel like that's gonna help. They want to hear that you were sorry, that you whatever. Um, but I'm with you where, like, if the only time I really care about a sorry if this is a continued relationship, whether we're family, friend, lovers, whatever, coworkers, I still gotta work with you, fine. But, like, there's certain situations where once the situation has ended, I don't care. You're pestering me. Like, don't boy, if I ain't talked to you in 2 years, don't come back and be like, "Hey, I promise you, I hate." I forgot that this morning.
Right.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, I there's like it's been 2 years. I haven't talked to you. I haven't heard from you, and then now you wanna, "Hey, you've been on my mind. I just want you to know I am sorry. I do think about it. I do. I am gonna roll my eyes so hard. I do not care. I do not care. This seems more for you. Mercury is gonna be out of a retrograde in a couple more days. Could you not hold on? Why are we doing this?"
Yeah.
That for me personally, I know there's some people they do want that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I think there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you need. But there are some people where know your person. They don't want that. You blocked on everything. Why don't are you getting new numbers to say this thing? I clearly do not want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So forgiveness.
So forgiveness, yes.
It's a gray area thing, and I don't think that's how we intended to start off the topic by
I
saying it's
mean
a gray area.
no, it's literally how you started off. It's in I mean, because it is it's case by case, it's person by person. I think at the end of the day, there are positive things that can come from forgiveness, from forgiving yourself, from allowing forgiveness of others. And again, forgiving someone does not necessarily mean that what they did is okay or that you have to let them dib and dab back in and out of your life or continue to harm you. We want to be very clear about that because we don't believe on that at all. But being able to let go and move on is can be helpful and healing for you. And it doesn't make you weak to let go of those feelings, and it doesn't make you weak to not feel the need to punish someone and have this long drawn out process to things. Um,
Mhm.
but also, if you need time to heal, if we're healing, right? Not like stewing up vengeance, healing. If
Yeah.
you need time to heal, that's okay too. So I guess at the end of the day, it's like it's yes, of course it's individualized, but there's also good things that can come with it. So don't like shy away from forgiveness and forgive yourself because you probably need it the most.
Well, guys, that is all we have for today's episode. As always, you can follow us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy or head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. If you need to reach out to us outside of social media, you can email us at shewolfalchemy@gmail.com. Other than that, we'll have a new episode for you guys next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.